Today we're looking at the GetPivotData function in Microsoft Excel. This allows you to refer to a single data point within a pivot table using the criteria that you specify. So this function refers to these column headers, so just keep that in mind as we move forward. So let's start by building our pivot table. So we select our data, then we go to the Insert tab and click on Pivot Table. We're going to go ahead and do this in a new worksheet, and then select the fields that we want to use. And so again, these are what we're going to refer to inside our pivot table function. So we're going to leave it like this for the moment, and we're going to show the basics of this function. And so we're going to start by opening this up, and then the data field is the data point that you want to return. And so in this case, it could be num sold or sales. So let's start with num sold, and then we can refer to the pivot table. So we'll refer to the starting cell and close it out. And then the 6475 is going to be the sum of num sold right there. And so if we change this to sales, it will be the grand total of sales. And there you see it there. Let's go ahead and modify our pivot table and show you some different ways that you can use this. So let's go ahead and add region as some of our column labels. And then you can see east, north, south, and so forth with those totals down below. And so if we do our get pivot data again, we can do our num sold, grab our starting cell of our pivot table, and now we can select a region, for example. And so basically what we do is we type the field name, and so this would be the name of the column from the original data, followed by what we want to specify. And so we could say region equals east. And so the 1729 is going to be the total num sold for east, which is 1729. So we could go over to west, for example, and then 1529 over here is going to be right there. Then we could change this to sales, and it'll update and show the sales number instead. So 739,000 for west, 739,000. Now let's go ahead and do one more level here, and then we'll show you some other things to wrap this up. So let's go ahead and show our field list. And then this time we're going to nest product under region, because now we have regions and products. And so if we do our get pivot data function again, we can select num sold, our starting pivot table data, and then we can select now our region, and we could do east, for example, and then we could do a product and do camera, for example, and there we go, 255. So that's very easy to validate. So we could change this to video games and see it returns there. And again, if we change this to sales, it will update accordingly. Now, one thing to note is if we modify this pivot table, let's say we want to switch product and region, that still works. But if we take region back out and turn it into the rows again, then this breaks. And so this can only refer to columns, and if you modify the format, this formula may break. So in this case, we would get rid of this region, and then we can see the product video games there. Now we're seeing that sales total. So 908,000, 908,000. Now one thing to note as well is that if you filter the data, and so let's say we only show Q1 2022, when you filter the data, that also affects what is displayed in these. And so this isn't a direct reference to this base data. It's referring to the data inside the pivot table. So whatever you modify in the pivot table will also modify what shows up in this function. Another thing to note is on the horizontal fields, if you collapse them, then it will also not show the numbers. And so let's go back up here. We'll do region, and we can put back now our region east, for example, and show this total. But if we collapse east, you can see that function now no longer works. And so if we delete this product of video games, we can still show that total because it's still visible, but we cannot access anything within that hidden field. All right, so that's it for today's video on GetPivotData function in Microsoft Excel. I hope that helps you to begin to see how you can use this to access data from your pivot tables. Make sure to check out Coefficient so that way you can automate your data imports and therefore automate your pivot tables as well. So that way your data is always up to date. Thanks for watching and have a great day.